So let's get this show on the road. And any changes to the agenda? I don't think so. So we'll move on to public comment. Anyone from the public out there? Or did I see someone sitting in your the chambers? Elaine, you want to say anything?
I'm here for an item on the agenda.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure we're going to be able to approve the minutes again this month, are we? Let's see. Let's look and see who was at the various meetings. Brendan and I were at the April meeting, so that's a no. May was Abby and me.
That one.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was June. Okay. All right, so we can get rid of May, I guess, huh? I'm assuming that those who weren't at the other meetings are not comfortable voting on them. We just soon push them off for next meeting. Is that right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So I take a motion to approve the May 23rd, 2024 meeting minutes if either Abby or Brendan is so inclined to make that motion.
I can make
I'll move.
second.
All right. Any corrections that you see? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And since it's only three of us, it's 3-0, no opposition, no abstentions. All right. So we'll put April's minutes and June's minutes on the next agenda. Next, we have nomination of the zoning administrator, and Reve, why don't you run us, well, actually, let me time out. Let me go back, since John is here for his first meeting and was appointed by the council, right, to take Tommy's place as an alternate. John, do you want to introduce yourself to the rest of the crew who you haven't met probably?
Yes. Yeah. I'm John. I moved to Winooski like about a year ago. I'm an architect. I work out of Boston remotely right now. I've been involved in all sorts of projects. Also in New York City. I lived in New York City for a while. And I just wanted to get more involved in local community and felt like there was an opportunity to get involved here as a smaller, more local municipality. So, quick intro.
And we thought that John's background might be useful to us. Hopefully that's the case. Abby, I don't know if you've introduced yourself to John, and Brendan, you can do the same.
Sure. So we just said hi, but I'm driving. I live on Russell Street. All kids in the school system. Profession, I've got my master's in urban planning and policy and sustainable transportation plan, project manager for most of my career, but before that did green building and livable community work. I've been in Winooski since 2015. Yeah. And what else? Part of the WAT, which is the Alliance for Active Transit.
Cool. Great. Brendan?
Sure. Hi, John. Good to meet you. I'm Brendan. I've got my 1-year-old here. She's not too happy with me at the moment, but this is Adelaide, my daughter.
Where'd the red hair come from?
My mom kind of has red hair, and like my uncle and cousins. So I didn't get any of it, but she seems to have gotten a little bit of it.
I see
Yeah.
that.
So this is Adelaide. This is my 19-month-old daughter. I've been on the commission for I think a little over 2 years now. Living in Winooski since 2021. I live on LaFountain Street in a planned unit development that of new houses that is sort of our one example of a planned unit development in the town, and comes up a lot in our meetings. Just kind of interesting. I am not a planning person, excuse me, by trade. I'm just gonna let the plane go by here. There we go. I'm a lawyer. I'm an assistant attorney general in the Vermont Attorney General's office. I am not like a planning or architecture person by trade. But I think one of the things I can do is make sure that when we're trying to pass policy, it's the words do what we're trying to do. And you know, I think I also see myself as a voice for sort of smart development and trying to increase housing supply to improve affordability in the city. So anyway, happy to meet you and welcome aboard.
Okay. And John, you met Christine and myself, so we won't bore you with our backstories. Anyway, again, good to have you on board. And so next item is nomination of the zoning administrator. Reve, why don't you kind of explain what this is all about?
Per statute, in order for a zoning administrator for a municipality to be appointed permanently, they have to be nominated by the planning commission and then appointed by the city council. And when appointed, this zoning administrator would serve a 3-year term. So for me, the action that you should take would be to nominate me as a zoning administrator and have council appoint me at their subsequent meeting for a 3-year term. For now, I am able to do my zoning administrator duties as the acting zoning administrator. Council appointed me acting zoning administrator July.
Okay,
Mike, can
so
I
this
say
is
no?
really just kind of an administrative thing, so.
Oh yeah, Elaine was gonna say something, Mike.
I'm sorry?
I think Elaine was gonna say something.
Oh, okay.
Hi, it's very straightforward, but I'm formally asking the planning commission to appoint Ravi to be the zoning administrator. As the city manager. Hi, John.
I'm glad you said that. I was afraid when you came up, it was going to be something that we didn't want to hear.
Well, I hope you want to hear that.
We do want to hear that, I think. I do. Good. Thanks, Elaine. Anything else, or? That was all. Okay. So, Brendan or Abby, do you have any questions, or John? Any questions about this? And if not, if someone would like to make the motion that Reve provided to us, that would be great.
I don't have any questions.
Yeah, question?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So the motion is whoever moved to nominate Reve Venkataraman. Did I say that right? I said it wrong, I know. How do you pronounce that, Reve?
Ramen.
Okay, as administrative officer for the city of Winooski. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Abby?
Yep.
Was there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Brendan. All in favor of the motion, please say aye
Hi.
or raise your hand.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone want to abstain? Okay. I think you've been nominated, Reve, so you can go to the city council at their next meeting and hopefully get appointed.
Great.
I would assume you'd be appointed.
Thanks for the nomination. It would have been very awkward if you decided not to.
It would have been. Thank you, Elaine. Next is election of officers. Always a big moment every year. And so we need to elect a chair and vice chair at the very least, hopefully a secretary this year. That spot has been vacant for a couple of years. I think Terry was the last secretary we had, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But anyway, are there any motions? Do people want to? I don't know what you want to do.
Who's not in attendance express interest in any of the positions?
No, not, I didn't receive any interest.
I mean, I think we could probably, we might as well just make the nominations and move forward. So let me ask Chair, Brendan or Abby or John, are any of you interested in booting me and becoming chair?
I think I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
Too
Well,
early
go.
for that.
Anybody yet? This is your second meeting, right, John?
First one.
I said if it was your second, you might
Yeah.
think about it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'm not interested in trying to boot you, Mike, and I'm not sure anyone would be there to take your place. So,
So if you want to nominate me, go ahead and you can vote on it.
if you'll accept, well, I guess it's up to you to accept it. I'm happy to nominate Mike to be the chair.
All right, is there a second to that?
Second.
Abby seconds. Everyone in favor? All right, how about vice chair? We have Abby as the vice chair. Which she does a great job when I don't show. I don't think anyone else is interested unless Brendan, you are. Putting you on the
No.
spot here, Brendan.
I mean, I'm not really. I think I'm pretty busy, and Abby knows more about planning than I do, certainly. So if she's willing, if she's willing to stay vice chair, I'm happy to have her stay in the role.
Abby, I think you're willing to stay, aren't you? Yeah. So is that a motion to appoint to elect Abby as the vice chair, Brendan?
Or I'll move to elect Abby or re-elect Abby as vice chair.
There you go. And John, I think I heard you second that at your first meeting.
Sure, I'll second that.
All right, perfect. And all in favor? Aye. Abby, do you want to abstain?
Whatever.
Or are you going to vote for yourself? It doesn't matter.
I don't know. What did you do, Mike? Watching.
As chair, I don't need to vote, so it's easy for me.
Well,
I usually abstain on a vote for myself, but it's up to you. It doesn't matter.
Great. I'll abstain.
All right, so 3-0 and 1 on that one. John or Brendan, any interest in being the secretary to take minutes of the meetings? And if you're not, that's fine. We can ask at the next meeting if anyone else is interested.
I'll pass on that for now.
Brendan, I think you want to pass too, right?
I think so. I'm not expecting anybody else to come forward, but I guess I'd rather wait at least and see
Yeah.
at the next meeting. I'm not eager to do it.
Yeah, let's wait on that till the next meeting. We'll bring it up again and see if anyone is willing. Maybe we'll double the pay for the secretary from 0 to double
Zero
to
times
0.
2 is 0.
Okay, so that's that. And next item is discussion on the FY25 work plan. Reve, I'm gonna ask you to take the lead on that.
So just to get myself better acquainted and better oriented with all of you and all of your interests, I thought I should start with the draft work plan, based it off of some draft goals that council had. I figured that could be a good place to start for a discussion, just to get a better sense of what your interests are and what your possible objectives are as council, as a planning commissioner for this coming year. And after that, it's something that I want to run by council, just everyone's in a line going forward.
Okay. So are you looking for input from us
Yes.
right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I would start with, I think the big thing, and other folks can jump in, including Christine. You can jump in here if I mess up. But I think the big thing that we're working on right now is the housing item, including inclusionary zoning, and working with the Housing Commission. I think, did I see that we're looking at trying to have a joint meeting on September 24th?
So that was thrown out as a possible date for a joint meeting. So yeah, if you can get back to me about your availability, September 24th at 6.
What's that?
I think I'm just trying to remember the timing on September 24th. I think it was at 6 p.m.
Yeah, that's usually what time we meet.
Yeah. So if you can get back to me about your availability for that, then I can coordinate with Jasmine about scheduling that joint planning commission housing committee.
Would that be in lieu of our meeting or in addition?
I mean, it would depend on what's under discussion, I guess. I think it would be in lieu of a meeting.
I think in lieu of the meeting.
Yeah, especially because I think the timing of that is around the 4th Thursday.
Right,
It just
right.
depends on whether you want to meet only once.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had talked about just meeting once a month, at least through summer. And so are we going to meet on the 3rd? Is the 3rd Thursday sort of our schedule moving forward?
Something that I'd like to figure out with all of you
Okay.
tonight. So, yeah, I think, yeah, totally up to you, really.
Well, let's see. We might as well continue, right? We meet on the 3rd Thursday every month, 1st and 3rd.
Yeah, we were meeting on the 1st and were we meeting on the 1st and 3rd or 2nd and 4th?
I thought it was the 2nd and 4th. But
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Second
Christine's
fourth.
shaking her head, so
Yeah.
that must be the 2nd and 4th.
Yeah, yeah, it is the 2nd and 4th.
Yeah. Yeah, so that'd be August 8th and 22nd, and then September 12th and 26th. So yeah, I think we just have one meeting in September since we're doing that joint meeting with the Housing Commission. Yeah. Besides housing, I think it's just continue to look at sections of the land use regulations that we think need to be tweaked, that you think need to be tweaked, or that we think need to be tweaked. Either way. Does that make sense, Rebe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Abby, do you want to say something?
I was just going to say but I was looking at the determined future plans of the Winooski Center on the St. Stephen's property. Is not something we've worked on. Definitely think of interest of digging into, and then continue to make progress on the open space and park plan. It's also something we haven't dug into.
Yeah, the St. Stephen's property, I'm not sure, unless I'm not sure what we want to get into without a request from somebody, either the city or the new property owner after it sells. Christine, what did you want to add something?
Yeah, we think it's closing soon, and then the city staff are going to meet with the new owner, and then from there we'll start a discussion about the plans. So I don't think it's an urgent thing, but it should be in the queue because it might come up.
Yeah, my understanding it's going to close next week. I don't know if it's Wednesday or whatever, but now that they were waiting for the bell to be removed, and now that the bell is removed, I think they're ready to move forward and close. Thank goodness.
Is there any update on like the church demolition?
The church demolition, St. Francis dropped their appeal. So right now it's going to depend on the new owner, if they can find a use for the building, and it's feasible for them. I'm very hopeful that they will, or that a new use will be found either by them or maybe another entity. Because I understand that there is some interest in creating a well, I've heard that the potential or the buyer is looking at potential like 2 or 3 different potential uses of the building. And there's others who are, I think, talking about possibly like daycare in that building, but we'll see. So it's not, I believe it could be torn down with a petition, but probably have to go through the same thing that St. Francis went through. It would be appealed by members of the community who want to keep it standing. And we'll see where that goes. Does that make sense? I was rambling a lot, but.
Yeah, I guess the last I heard about it was that the Handies were trying to buy it, but were waiting to get, it was waiting to get tore down before they actually went through that process. So
Yeah, that's not the case anymore.
that's not the case anymore. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's worth discussing this item before. I guess it doesn't matter because we're going to meet after the sale's done. But to sort of start grappling with the senior center and that public part of the property, I think is timely.
I'm not sure what we have to talk about with the senior center. Go ahead, Christine. I see your hand again.
Yeah, there are no zoning change implications or land use implications at this time. You know, a scenario is that the new owner just builds what is currently allowable in the current zoning and doesn't want to change anything about our use of the senior center parcel. I don't know that that's where they'll land, but if that's where they went, there wouldn't really be something to work on.
Yeah, and remember that the city has a lease until 2044, I think, for the
Mhm.
senior center. So nothing can happen for another 20 years unless the city and the new owner come to some agreement for something
Yeah.
different.
Okay, it's one of 3 items that council has identified as priorities. And it says, identify any changes to the UL, UDR that may be necessary to support the continued use of the Winooski Senior Center.
I pulled that from last year's work plan. It
Okay.
was from my understanding that last year's work plan is being used as a draft by council. So I think that's also subject to.
Okay, I thought this was the fiscal year.
I think that was,
25.
I think there was some misunderstanding of the situation and also some fear that possibly the city could be kicked out of the senior center, but that's not the case. And I understand that the new owner may have sent some kind of agreement to the city to maybe just change their name. I don't know what it was, but not to change the terms.
Do you want me to speak to that, Mike?
Yes, please.
What's that?
Do you want me to speak to that?
Please do.
Yeah, I just signed that and sent it off. So it's a subordination agreement and what do they call it? A non-disruption agreement. So basically, right, it's confirming that they can't interfere with our existing use and lease. So if there was a change, it would be subject to negotiation. And the schedule is closed, the closing is scheduled for Monday, the 22nd.
It is Monday. Yeah.
If there was negotiation that happened that changed the use of that property, would it come in front of the planning commission? Or what's the public process?
I would say only if they're requesting a zoning change.
Yeah.
So there are some staff thoughts about potentially changing our use of the property. It doesn't mean that the zoning for the property would necessarily change, so it depends on that. So there would, if we were to propose a change for our use, there would be a public process involved in that.
So anything, Brendan, you have anything to add?
I don't think so. I think at the joint meeting with the Housing Commission, we were talking about the inclusionary zoning ordinance and also the replacement ordinance. And I think that those are both priorities that we should try to move pretty quickly. I think beyond that, I think obviously if something comes up with like St. Stephen's property and there's a specific change that we might need to make, we can address that at the time. But I think we're in a position to start to think more broadly and long term about our vision for the city. I think we've been dealing with a lot of sort of emergent housing issues the last couple of years, and for better or worse, I think we have put in some measures, and I think we sort of know the type of housing that we're trying to encourage, and I think we're putting in place measures to try to encourage that housing, and I think we're in a position to kind of pivot a little bit now.
To me, I think the big thing we have to keep an eye on, not necessarily have to change at this point, but is going to be, I still question the gateway and form-based code, and it was implemented or approved like 10 years ago, and is it doing what we want it to do? And if so, that's great. If not, do we need to make more tweaks to it? Because that's where the development is happening primarily. And Abby, I think you noted about the parks. I think that deals with Cassavant, if I'm not mistaken, is still in the downtown, is our central business district. And maybe Gilbert, that's half industrial, half in public zone. So those might be two areas that we want to look at.
Is like maybe industrial. Well,
Is it industrial or is it like open space or public?
no, like none of our Ravi, if you look at our map, our parks aren't like classified as parks.
Yeah.
That's been ever since, I mean, Mike, you've been on the commission for much longer than me, but ever since I've been on the commission, it's been like, why aren't we properly classifying our parks?
Well, for Winooski, it doesn't really matter just because they are city owned. So
Yeah.
there are already the protections and limitations for community. So zoning doesn't really have that much of an impact, and we own it in its part. It's mainly like a thing for towns like outside Chittenden County or in rural parts of Chittenden County that utilize that public use to include all open space that is not owned by the municipality, which in our case isn't not there. So for us, there isn't really any, the way I see it, there isn't really any benefit for creating a zoning classification for parks.
I think we have an open space zoning classification. It just doesn't cover, it covers partial.
Right. Yeah, but whether you want to rezone it or not, it's not going to change the status of the park. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not going to change the status and there's any like hypothetical far into the future.
Yeah. It's
For
funny.
right now, for what it is, it's not going to happen that much.
Well, we can always discuss it at some point.
Industrial, industrial, partially public.
Okay. Anything else you want to hear from us, Reve? I don't know, maybe Christine wants to chime in what she'd like us to focus on, or even Elaine.
No, I mean, I think this very well aligns with the current strategies and priorities. I think the city council is like the top priority is around the housing priorities and incentives and inclusionary zoning, continue to explore that. So looks good to me.
Anyone else? Remy, what are your thoughts or anything more we want to talk about for our work plan?
Not at the moment. I think this gives me a good framework, and plus we already have inclusionary zoning, something that we are currently working on too, so that'll be a good direction to go.
Okay, good. Elaine, anything you wanted to add?
I'm trying to pull up, thank you, Mike. I'm trying to pull up the Revy's memo of other ideas, but it's not loading. So I do think you have quite a bit to work on now, but at some point you might finish those things this fiscal year. So you might want to touch back on this memo for other areas to work on. I think it might bear pointing out that my impression of how the Planning Commission operated under Eric, and maybe before, I'm not sure, was to work sequentially through the urban, what does the UDR stand for? Unified Land Use Development Regulations?
Yeah, let's call it zoning regs.
Sure, zoning bylaws. And that is certainly one way to do things. I think, so when Revy came in, his observation is that you have a very solid foundation that you've all established, so with council. So you might want to take a topical approach on areas of interest. Obviously, housing is a big concern. That's why you're focused on it now. But at some point, you kind of like Brennan was saying, you might want to look at some other topic areas, and then they would propagate through the chapters. It wouldn't necessarily just be in one. So that's the one thought that I wanted to underline from Revy's memo.
Yeah, I have it open too. It's got affordable housing, inclusionary zoning, multi-bedroom housing, inventory and variety of housing options such as missing middle, multimodal transportation improvements, energy efficiency, sound mitigation, and natural area resource protection. Those all sound great.
Yeah. Yeah, and some things that I want to work on in particular, other than inclusionary zoning, is on missing middle. It seems like you and Eric did a lot of work on that over the last 6-8 months with the Act 47 changes. I just want to make sure that all the gaps are covered and see what the potential is for that missing middle infill housing opportunities could be. Maybe Eric's already covered all the bases, but I want to go through all the data and just to see if there could be some tweaks made to that area. Another thing that's, I guess, close to me that I really enjoy is TDM on the transportation side, just to see how we can integrate transportation and land use together to create a more walkable, bikeable community. Our TDM section it's good for a small city, but I think it's much to be desired. So that's something that I want to look into, see how we can have our land use and our transportation network.
Okay. That's I have to laugh because I know I was elected to council in '98, and one of the first things I tried to do is let's get at least sidewalks on at least one side of every street. And it has proven frustratingly difficult to do. No fault of anyone. It's a matter of priorities and money, right? So, and I know I know we had a plan at one point to add sidewalks where they're missing, and I'm not sure where that stands now. But again, it's one of those things that, you know, with the staff we have and the monies we have available and the jobs, the work that Public Works has to do, et cetera, it's tough.
We've
Anyway.
made progress, Mike. We've added a
Yes.
few.
What's that?
We've
Yes.
added a few.
Oh, I know. I know we have. Anyway, it's like the Burlington Bridge, you know. We've been talking about that since about 1980. Anyway. Anything else on the work plan? Then let's go to city updates. And now we've got Christine, Elaine, and Reve. I don't know who wants to add anything for updates for the city?
Yeah, so I'm opening my notes, sorry. Did I already tell you all that? Yeah, that was, I think, before our last meeting, that council passed all the amendments, the recent amendments, the Act 47 amendments. No,
Okay.
that just happened on Monday. Yes,
Yeah.
so the amendments you all advanced, we had our public hearing, we adopted them. So thank you very much for all of that work.
I thought
I
I
know
was
that was
losing my mind when you said you already told us, because I'm going, I don't think so, but I didn't want to look stupid if you did.
No, it's
That
me. I've
that's
lost track.
fastest anything's ever gotten through that we've like started working on. So that's good.
Yeah. And then just second thing, the city council has been talking about how to create more awareness about commissions like this, and expand opportunities to more members of our community. On Monday at 5:30 in council chambers, we're gonna, with Town Meeting TV, record a video overview of what these commissions are and what it's like to serve on them. And we're inviting folks from commissions to join us. So if anyone is interested in coming on Monday to record, let me know. Shoot me a chat, tell me here, or an email later. It's Monday, 5:30 in council chambers.
I'm not available. So someone
I
else is
figured.
gonna have to do it.
No one is obligated to do this, but we
Okay.
welcome having people who are serving share about their experience. That's
Anything
it for
else?
me. I'll pass it to staff.
Okay. Elaine, anything you want to throw at us?
I don't think I have any updates, although maybe you were already going to do this, Mike, but for John's benefit, since you've got Ruth on now. You want to?
Oh, yeah, I saw Ruth was on. Hey, Ruth, are you there?
Yeah, I'm on. I just have to be off camera. And I'll take you up on that Monday event, Christine. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Ruth, we have a new member that was just appointed on Monday, a new alternate member, John Baker. Can you introduce yourself? John, this is, Ruth is the, what's the right term?
Inclusion ambassador.
There you go. Ruth, could you, there you
Yeah.
go.
Hi, John.
Mike, if you want me to.
Sure, yeah.
So the Inclusion and Belonging Commission is sort of like, you know, the equity, diversity, all that sort of thing. Commission that that we have here in the city, created by council. And so they have their own meetings every other month. And then on their off months, they're an ambassador to another commission. So Ruth is your ambassador from the Inclusion and Belonging Commission to the Planning Commission.
Okay.
So she's here to not do all the equity work, but to just to ask those questions and to help you all do that work. And then it also helps the Inclusion and Belonging Commission. That's currently our only stipended commission, and it helps people who normally can't attend these kinds of other bodies for free serve in that role. And so it helps when the ambassador brings the information back from the other commissions, what they're working on, back to that commission, and hopefully an exchange of ideas back and forth. So
Do we do the same thing with other commissions?
yeah, so
Okay.
each of the other commissions have their own ambassadors.
Okay.
Great. Anything else, Elaine, or was that it?
That was all, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Reve, anything that you want to add for updates?
Not sure at the moment.
That's fine. Other than if you're now entrenched in your job.
Day 10 on my own. So yeah.
There you go. Okay. Other business.
Burlington is sent over draft regulation amendments that they're forwarding to their city council, I believe. So they're doing a lot of changes to their regulations. It's pretty impressive. They're like reorganizing their entire zoning map, and they made a lot lot of changes into inclusionary zoning, to name a couple things, along with a bunch of different. So I scratched the surface so far. I need to do a deeper dive. I'm going to meet with South Burlington's Director of City Planning tomorrow by happenstance. So yeah, there's a lot to learn from it.
Good. Yeah, I saw it. I quite honestly, I have not, I kind of skimmed it a little bit, but that's all. I know they have, is it by statute that if there are changes to your zoning regs, you share them with the adjacent towns?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I share with adjacent towns, the RPC and AC.
Yeah, and I don't think, looking at it quickly, there's anything that's going to affect us in Winooski.
No, not directly.
Yeah. Okay. I sent you a text or an email, Reve, last night at the Regional Planning Commission meeting. Charlie Baker gave a brief update on changes to Act 250, and it includes some exemptions from Act 250 that probably, I would assume, are going to impact the city of Winooski. Have you seen those?
Yeah,
Reve?
yeah, it's
Okay.
a good 180 pages that they've changed, mainly to Act 250. Huge responsibility is on regional planning commissions to update their regional plans. Yeah, there are going to be some impacts or some effects, I don't know what impacts, but effects definitely on the city, because there are now Act 250 exemptions for particular priority housing projects in our downtown and we're designated. There are some minor tweaks that I think we'll have to make in our zoning based on those changes that they've made. That basically changing the enabling language in 24 BSA 117 that we need to mirror accordingly. I'm hoping to bring that up during our next meeting when we talk about the replacement units.
And that reminds me, because it seems like one of the things, one of the requirements is that there's because of the Act 250 exemption, that towns that apply for that, however it works, needs to have not only, municipal water and sewer and zoning, but historic preservation too. And that's something that we've talked about, but we need to strengthen in our regs, I believe. So in our work plan, I think that's something else that we can add in there, is looking at our historic preservation language and make sure it's tight enough that it's effective. Because when we first put it in, we thought that we had it covered and found out that not so much. Christine?
I think the local resource advisory board would be suited to do that.
But right.
Revi's thoughts though. Revi, confirm or deny if I'm correct.
Yeah, so the local resource advisory board has a role in development review. And so if any of the properties are being developed that are listed in our zoning regulations would go to our local resource advisory board for recommendations before it comes to either me or to the DRB for approval. So there is some like enabling powers with that. Whether you want to do it and strengthen it or tweak it is something that I can look into. That's
Well, I want to make sure that in our zoning regs, all that ties together. So there's not a loophole, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Christine, I'm sorry I cut you off.
I thought the language we used to create that, they were also tasked with development of design guidelines or something. That's different.
Yeah.
Never mind my thought.
No, that's okay. I just think that we need to coordinate and get it into the zoning regs and wherever it needs to be, so there's no loophole, I guess I'll say.
I can look into that.
Okay. Any other business from anyone? I mean, it's only 7:20. We usually go to 8:20, but Christine's saying, no other business, let's get out of here. And I agree with you. Any other business though? Brendan or Abby or John? Ruth, Elaine?
Thing
Christine?
in other business. Can you hear me, Mike?
I can, yeah.
With the bridge team is looking for feedback on the alignment during the future alignment of the Winooski Burlington Bridge. And I know that Locomotion and Burlington Walk by Council and Winooski, the walk group, is looking at how the bridge alignment can affect future regridding of the downtown. Just thinking about a 100-year bridge, the circle's fairly new and not going away anytime soon, but the potential to regrid the downtown may change based on what alignment we pick. And so there is an effort that will begin shortly to engage Christine and the mayor and the council manager to talk about that and see if it's something that Winooski's interested in reviewing and weighing in on formally to the design team. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I've kind of lost track of where that whole thing lies, because at one point I was on a committee and I guess I've fallen off. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, just there's supposed to be public input about bridge design. I think alignment, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure if either Christine or Elaine knows anything about where that stands, what's going on.
I haven't received any outreach, but it might be with staff still.
Yeah.
My impression from Bryn Oakleaf, who's on council and also on that committee, is that they don't need that type of input for now, which is why they haven't met in a while or asked for them to meet. So, yeah.
Okay.
They're in negotiations now related to easements.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So any other business? Hearing none, and I guess it helps to turn to page 2 of the agenda. If not, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Abby?
Second.
Brendan seconds. Before we vote, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Reve. Thank you, Ruth, for coming. Thank you, John, for your first meeting. We got you to at least make a second. So your name's now on the record forever and ever. So all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good weekend.